What percentage of 18 to 29-year-olds voted for Barack Obama in California last November?
78.
78%.
Very good.
So we have to win them back. Good news is, what is the #1 issue for 18 to 29-year-olds? Jobs. And I also get a little bit of the benefit of the doubt from 18 to 29-year-olds because of eBay. So any 18 to 29-year-olds, if you have 18 to 29-year-olds who aren't here, please get them to come help and volunteer. #2 is women. Women have left the Republican Party in disproportionate numbers and tend to vote more Democrat and tend to be more independent. So I need women to come back to this candidacy in ways we've never seen before. We have a women's coalition. It is called Meg Whitman. It's pretty cute. In any case, I would love every woman in this audience and your friends to join our women's coalition and talk to your friends. And then last, we need to build a Latino coalition. 1 in 5 voters in California are Latino, and I need them on my side. Latinos are small business owners. In fact, the single biggest small business segment of people starting small businesses is actually Latinas. So, so I would love your support across the board. Jessica Patterson, where is Jessica? General Jessica is outside. Jessica is my grassroots director. Here she is. There she is in the back. Jessica is the general of my army of grassroots volunteers, and she has done a fantastic job, and if you see her on the way out, she can point you in the right direction. So, thank you again for coming tonight. What I'd love to do now is take questions on any subject. Don't be shy, and I'd love to answer those questions, and let's have a dialogue. We'll start way in the back, because I saw you first.
Meg, how do you,
Sounds like we have a roving mic.
Welcome to the Inland Empire. Last time I checked, there are 3 groups that are controlling Sacramento. The President Union, the CTA, and the employee union. How do you plan on changing the course of where we're at now and deal with those people in reality?
Yeah. Let me answer the union question specifically, but what I want to start out with is the question that most often I get, which is, how will you get anything done in Sacramento? Because the unions are part of the problem, so is the Democrat legislature, so is the entrenched interest, so is the bureaucracy. So let me make a couple of observations and then I'll talk about the unions in particular. First is, I believe focus is incredibly important here. There's a reason that politicians get bogged down is they get pulled in too many directions and they lose focus. So the focus is important. The next thing that's very important is your appointments. The governor of California gets 3,000 appointments to his or her administration. Just for perspective, the President of the United States gets 3,800. So my first question is, could we do with 1,500 appointments? But the fact of the matter is, those top 10% are incredibly important. 300 people are your agency heads, your department heads, and all the governor's appointments to the 395 boards and commissions. By the way, what I hear from businesses every day is the boards and commissions create as much havoc as the legislature. I was in San Luis Obispo the other day with a farmer named Mark Teixeira, and he said he's actually the largest grower of broccoli and celery in California. And he said, Meg, my water board tells me I have to recycle all the water on my farm, and the Leafy Green Vegetable Commission tells me I can't recycle any of the water on my farm. I am delighted to do whatever you all want me to do, but I cannot recycle all of my water and none of my water at the same time. And you might say, oh, that's an anomaly. It's actually not. So, appointments are incredibly important. You have to have those appointments who are the right people in the right job who are on the governor's agenda. And I did not run eBay by myself. I will not govern California by myself. These appointments are between you and not getting anything done at all. And I think it's incredibly important to have run large organizations so you understand. Everyone in this room who's in business knows you are only as good as the people who work for you. So that's the first thing. #2 is the legislature. And the governor has to work with the legislature, but the legislature has to work with the governor, because in California we have line item veto. And this is something you have to use consistently, because if you do not, the bill factory that is Sacramento will keep on coming. Last year, the legislature introduced 2,000 bills, nearly 700 of them were signed into law. Virtually none of them were on point to the crisis we face. So my view is, stop the build factory, veto everything new, except for if it's public safety or an emergency of some kind, and focus the legislature on solving our existing problems. It's really... With regard to the unions, I think we need to be thoughtful about how we approach this. And I am of a belief that Governor Schwarzenegger's 4 propositions, do you remember he ran a number of years ago? The right propositions, actually, dead on the right propositions, but he tried to do too many at once. So you pick one proposition and you go forward. And should that be paycheck protection? Should that be teacher tenure? What is the right one to go forward with? And then you have got to negotiate with the unions. Turns out 85% of the civil servants are working without a contract right now. So if I were the governor, I'd be negotiating right now, because I don't know too many people who aren't worried about losing their job, and I don't know too many people who are thinking they're going to get a raise right about now. And then the last backdrop I would say is that this is one tough job. On a scale of 1 to 10, where 10 is really hard, my view is being governor of California in this crisis is a 12. So the next governor of California has to know exactly what she believes, and she needs to stick with it. In the back, right here. Uh-oh, the poor woman with the microphone's like gonna have to transverse to the back.
Is it possible to get some kind of thing to make the legislator pass a check balancing thing so they know what the heck business is like?
Yeah. You're right. I mean, my view is that we would be far better off if a number of the constitutional officers and a majority of the state legislature had actually met a payroll, got the return on investment, had to deal in the real world, no question about it. Because I don't think there's a real understanding of what it takes to be successful in small business. I don't think there's an understanding of how tough it is. I don't think, well, every time a regulation is passed, no one's thinking, what does that mean for the company that does $5 or $10 million a year? What does it mean for the small entrepreneur who's trying to get started? So the only way I know how to attack this is to think about a part-time legislature. For a part-time legislature, because it was never designed for professional politicians. And the notion was you would be a farmer or a hardware store owner or a teacher or a doctor or a veterinarian, and then you would serve part-time in the legislature and bring the real world to Sacramento. So this is something I think we absolutely need to go forward with. It is not the only reform, because if you're not careful, if you go to a part-time legislature, there are other interest groups who will gain in power. Right? So you have to be very careful that the staff and the lobbyists don't gain in power while you get a part-time legislature. But among a number of other reforms, I think this is something that would work very well, because we need a dose of reality in Sacramento. And it's one of the things that I think I bring to the party. As I said, I haven't been in politics for 30 years. And I look at this with an outside-in perspective. And yes, there are differences. Sacramento, the state will never be a business, and it shouldn't be. But frankly, we need a healthy dose of, you know what, I know what it's like to run a small business. I know what it's like to need a payroll. I understand what regulations can mean. So that would be my answer to your question. All right, why don't we go over here to the woman right there, kind of straight back. I'm making it difficult for the runners because I'm moving across the room.